Well, welcome along to the Sporting Life Timeform weekend preview. And now the end is near for the jump season. David Ord joined by Ben Linfoot and Matt Brocklebank to talk as the curtain comes down on the campaign at Sandown Park. Good news, they are racing at Sandown Park, despite Friday's meeting being washed away on the flat course. The fixture race, Bet365 Gold Cup, the Whitbread in Old Money. There was a bad pint. Did you ever have a pint of Whitbread in your youth?
I did, yeah, when I was about 17. Never again.
Yeah, I was with you with that one. Apologies, Whitbread fans. Just a personal tasting. Well, we've got the ratings for the Bet365 Gold Cup, the Timeform ratings. Matt, you expect this to be a competitive heat, and those numbers suggest it is.
Yeah, absolutely is a competitive heat. Yeah, we've got a class horse in here, obviously topping the weights in Frodon. But as you can see, topping the weight-adjusted ratings is the marvellous little handicap chaser, Kitty's Light. Already had a fantastic season and runs a week on from winning the Scottish Grand National. So having won the Ida Chase not too long before that, it would be a remarkable hat-trick, but one we have to take very seriously.
We've got video footage of him available now. My fault, this one. It's not him winning the Scottish National last week. It's hitting the frame in this race last year, Ben, behind Hewitt. This is last year's renewal. Would you take positives from how well he ran in this, looking at his chance for Saturday?
I would take positives because it's not the only time he's run well in this race, is it? He was obviously in that famous race that Andrillo won and was demoted from, and
dead unlucky that year.
Yeah, when he
should have got it, shouldn't he?
Yeah, he was taken out by Andrillo, wasn't he? When eventually second in the race, and he was third here behind Hewitt, who was rated 149 this day. Hewitt obviously gone on to do a few different things since this performance. Won a Galway Plate and an American Grand National, and was running well in the Gold Cup last time when he fell two from home. So we know Hewitt's a really good horse who could win on the card on Saturday. And Kitty's Light ran well in second, now in third, sorry. But my concern with Kitty's Light is that this day, and particularly the year before when he was unlucky coming up the hill, he got outpaced at a crucial point in the race and ended up having quite a lot to do from the cross fence up the home straight. And it's only a week on from that Scottish National win. He's pretty short in the betting, and when you put the two together, even though he's got an outstanding chance from a handicapping point of view off the same mark that he won off in Scotland, I just feel like I'm probably going to take him on.
Let's have a look at the pace map for the Bet365 Gold Cup. Big field, you'd expect a good gallops in the offing, Matt. Is that what we're going to see?
Yeah, I think so, Dave. When you've got Frodon winging round in a big field like this, under Bryony Frost, on what appears to be decent ground on the chase course, we're in for a pretty good test of stamina, I suspect. And Sam is another one who's predicted to be up with the pace. Now he's obviously got question mark over that stamina for this sort of 3.5 mile distance, because he's fairly effective right down to 2.5 miles. So he's a fascinating horse, Sam, isn't he? There are shades of Cool Cody about him. Obviously, he runs in the same silks for the same trainer, Evan Williams. And just when you think the handicap has got him, he seems to pull out a little bit more. And he's one of those horses that, again, seems to have been around forever. And yet he's only an 8-year-old and now has a new career high mark. But I personally wouldn't completely rule him out at some stage winning off a mark of 149. Now, whether it's in this race is a different matter, but he totally outclassed them this day. This was a really good performance when we last saw him, when he won. This is at Ludlow, isn't it? In a slightly lesser grade, obviously, but like I say, he outclassed them. The Wolf has been running in some of these races throughout the season. He was in second, but a £7 rise for this looks perfectly fair, but I would have question marks about the stamina.
What do you think, Matt, in terms of tactics? Because Timeform predict he will go forward, and he has gone forward a lot this season, but I just wonder over this trip if they might ride him cold and ride him from off the pace.
I'm not sure he'll respond well to it personally. I think he's one of those horses that likes to be out in front, likes to do it round Kempton, round Ascot. He loves a right-handed track. Slightly surprised he's not won at Sandown before now either, but I think he'll be up there. Keep Frodon company maybe.
Do you like the chocolate Revels?
I prefer other chocolates, but you know, if you've got a bag, I'll have one.
I haven't, but I've got a video of Revels Hill winning
Okay.
at Exeter Fair. Very shrewd team behind Revels Hill. He's a horse going forward. This looked good form on the day.
Yeah, it did. He finished second to the Chris Gordon horse who runs again in this race, Cool Valor.
He's in the white cap, isn't he, Revels Hill?
Yeah, Revels Hill in the white cap, Cool Valor the winner to the right of him in the red and white stripes. And to be honest, I don't think there's an awful lot between these two yet. The markets will tell you differently, because Revels Hill's a 7-1 chance for Saturday and Cool Valor's a 16-1 chance. Revels Hill gets a £2 pull at the weights on this run in, and we know he's a very strong stayer. We saw that this day. This is over 3 miles, 6 furlongs. He's won at Taunton in soft ground over 3.5 miles. So I certainly don't think stamina's an issue for him. I do think that the handicapper might just have him where he wants him. He's been getting beaten quite a lot off this sort of mark in the mid to high 130s, and he'll have to pull out more to win a race of this nature from his current mark. And I just think that ground might be a bit lively for him as well.
Selection time?
Yeah, I mean, I'd give a fair chance. You've got to take a chance, I think, to take on Kitty's Light, because Kitty's Light is very, very solid from a handicapping point of view. I've got a couple in mind. I quite like Mucho Mas for Ben Pauling. That looks like a progressive horse. Obviously lacks that experience, but could be sitting on a good mark, obviously having to run from out of the weights. I'd give a small shout to Court Master, who's actually £7 out of the handicap here, obviously with Frodon taken up, but they've gone to the trouble of booking Beau Morgan, younger brother of the new conditional champion, Luca Morgan, and I think Beau Morgan's made quite a good impression this year. 5 winners from 20 odd rides for Ben Pauling, obviously attached to that yard, and rides here for Michael Scudamore, who seems to be in quite good form. He's also back from another wind operation, which is a good time to catch him, and he's back from a 300-day layoff, so he's 4 wins in the past have come after layoffs of a couple of months, so he's really good fresh. He's an interesting one down at the bottom, and I'd also give a good chance to an each way chance to Certainly Red, one of the most progressive chasers of the whole season. I think when he started his winning spree, he was winning off a mark of 116, so he's now up to 142, but when we last saw him winning, I thought he gave the impression that he still had more in the locker. If you go back to a couple of starts ago, he beat Gemirond over 2 miles at 4 furlongs. That form's worked out really, really well. He backed up with a win at Wincanton when appreciating the return to a longer trip, and then he's had a lovely little prep run over hurdles at Ascot. I thought it was quite an eye-catching run that day, so I'd give Certainly Red an each way chance, and Court Master maybe a one at a wild price.
Scoop.
Well, Andrillo has got the Dave Ord time form rating. There's a question mark against him.
Well, we answer them all the time, though. No, that's what life's about.
And I think Andrillo might answer it on Saturday, because he's really well handicapped. He's come down to a mark of 137, and when we were talking about him winning this race and being demoted 2 years ago, he was running off a mark of 143 that day. So you can immediately see that for this race he's well treated, and although things haven't gone right for this horse, I think he's been a bit unlucky. He's a good jumper in the main. He's taken a couple of hard falls over the last couple of seasons, but he had wind surgery. He's come back. It's taken him a couple of runs, but that run last time at Kempton was a step in the right direction. He at least finished the race. And with him dropping down the weights, Paul Nicholls in his Bet4 column that you'll be able to read on Sporting Life later, he's very bullish about this horse's chances. He thinks he's got him back to where he was 2 years ago, and if that's the case, he's a huge danger to Kitty's Light, even such a well handicapped Kitty's Light off his rating. So I think if Christine Williams' horse is susceptible to one that might just be even better treated than him, it'll be Andrillo for Paul Nicholls.
Before we move on, make sure you click like and subscribe, and also click on that notification bell to be notified of all of our latest videos. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
What about celebration chocolates?
I love all. Yeah, I like the variety in those, Dave.
Well, there's variety in the celebration chase as well. On Saturday, we'll get the time form ratings up here. This is probably the most interesting race on the card, because we're throwing the leading novice, British novice, John Bon, in against a seasoned 2 mile gunslingers, Grenadine, Editor de Gite, Captain Guinness, and Funabola Savola. Can try saying that again. John Bon does top the time form ratings. Official ratings leave him with something to find. He topped the time form ratings by £1, rated of 178. Matt, we've got John Bon back to winning ways here on video at Aintree last time. Second in the Sporting Life Arkle. Where's he going to sit in against these on this evidence that we've got from Aintree?
On the evidence from Aintree, I don't think we learned anything at all. He was 2 to 11. He beat horses rated 140 and 120 something. This was him essentially having a pop round, wasn't it? In winning a Grade 1, obviously don't take that away from him, but I don't think you couldn't say he improved on the run in the Sporting Life Arkle, but that was a solid enough run in the Arkle. You wonder if that's kind of where he's at and what he is. So if the
the Arkle winners come out at Punchestown.
Super. He's bumped into a real superstar, and he was beaten 5 and a bit lengths by him. So that could well slot in beautifully. When people are talking about El Fabiolo as being the threat to Energumen next season, then you have to respect John Bon against good 2 mile open chasers, but not superstars, are they? Editor de Gite, Captain Guinness, Grenadine, they've been around the block. They're very good. They're well worth these ratings. But John Bond could step up a little bit again. I'd be happy enough to take him on, to be honest. I think there are other horses in the race with a reasonable chance.
So look at the pace, Matt, because the 2 mile chase around Sandown is always a fantastic sight. The horses get winging away on there. Now we've got a clear pace angle in this, Ben. Do you think it's relatively straightforward tactically?
Well, the number 2 that you see there, predicted to be out in the lead, is Editor de Guy, who it's fascinating. He's not run at Sandown, has he, over fencing?
He's had one, and he pulled up on his UK debut way back.
Okay, yeah. It's strange that such a swashbuckling front runner hasn't tackled the Sandown chase course since then. You would think it would be ideal for him, and you would think he's definitely going to be out there in the lead with a target on his back. From probably three furlongs out. It's going to be a fascinating race tactically. I would think the likes of John Bon and Grenadine and Captain Guinness will get to Editor de Guy. Captain Guinness is an interesting horse. You know, it was a career best run last time in the Champion Chase when second behind Energumene. Again, he didn't particularly look to like Sandown. His one and only try when he came over for the Tingle Creek a couple of years ago. He's not a typical Henry de Bromhead horse like Special Tiara, who would attack her fences. He has been held up more over 2 miles. So yeah, it's a bit of a conundrum.
Let's have a look at the video of Grenadine in action, because he's the second top rated. He's the main market rival. Here he is, Ben, winning at the Holland Gold Cup. Paul Nicholls thinks that he's the one they all have to beat. And from your reaction when I told you John Bond was top rated on time, I think you do too. You're fuming.
Well, I think when you look at Grenadine's Sandown record in isolation, he should be favourite here. He's got a fantastic record around Sandown, obviously going for a hat-trick in this race. He looked in great nick this day on his seasonal rear appearance at Exeter when beating Dollis. It was the best that we've seen him this season. He's sort of gradually regressed since this performance at Exeter, first time out way back in November. But he was a little bit unfortunate to be beaten as far as he was in the Champion Chase last time when third behind Energumene. He was beaten 34 lengths that day after a bad error. And I do think we're probably going to see the real Grenadine at Sandown. This is his time of year, this is his track. And when you look at his best career ratings, they've always come at this course and they're ahead of anything John Bond's ever done. So I do think he probably should be favourite. I think he's the one to beat. And whilst he is around 9-4, even maybe 5-2, hopefully, I'd be backing him, I think.
A tip for Grenadine, Matt, where does the Brocklebank verdict go?
I think if I had to have a bet, it would be Editor de Guy, not only on the basis that he's going to get his own way out in front, but just he's underestimated in the market. He's around 11-2, 6-1, and he's had a fantastic season already and was probably beaten, again, a bit like Grenadine, much further than... In the Champion Chase, we didn't see the best of him at all. The ground was really quite bad. I don't think that suited him. And then obviously turning into the straight, he kind of got clobbered sideways, and that totally knocked him back. I think he was beaten like 35 lengths in the end. That does not do this horse justice. He's been freshened up. Gary Moore going really well. And I think he'll go out on his sword. Win, lose or draw. I think he's probably the bet. So, he's the fun bet to have in the race, because you're going to get a hell of a run for your money from Editor de Guy. Yeah,
lots to look forward to on that Sandown Saturday card. I've got Matt's value bet column and Ben's best bets are both out on Sporting Life ahead of the final day of the jump season. And I hope you make it a profitable one too.